not that AI writes badly, okay? In fact, it actually writes very well. But sometimes it writes so well that many times it starts sounding the same. So if you don't actively shape your narrative, shape your reputation, the market or even the internet is going to do it for you. And then by then you have no control over it. So that's what's scary. Growth when it comes to an organization is reputation. Growth when it comes to an organization, it's about trust. So these are two things that money cannot buy you. PR is a journey. It is a journey that I'm walking with you. I'm coming in as your partner, as part of your team, and not as a vendor.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Epic Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us now in this season of how to make a better business. Now, some business owners think of PR as probably something they'll get to later. Some senior comms leaders are always buried in agency retainers and unsure what they're paying for. Now, Julie Chiang has spent over 30 years working across that whole spectrum, from small lifestyle brands to Lamborghini, from 5-person team to the Ministry of Health. As founding director of APRW, one of Singapore's most enduring independent communications agencies, she joins the podcast to make a case for PR as a discipline rather than a press release service, to give business owners and comms leaders a practical map of what PR actually costs at every tier, where AI fits in the work, and what habit to start tomorrow morning. Julie, welcome to the podcast.
I'm Julie Chiang. Hi. I've started APRW with my business partner and kind of a childhood friend, primary school friend, Palin, in in '06. We have board history, so therefore we're celebrating APRW's 30th anniversary this year. So I'm very happy to be part of this podcast today. And thank you, Eric, for inviting me.
30 years is not a short time to be in the PR industry, So you've seen ups and downs, and I think, the ins and outs of it. But I think that's why I really wanted to have you on the podcast because, again, the theme is how to build a better business. So from small to large, there are so many questions about it. Like, say, for example, as a small business owner, I'd be thinking, I'm going to put PR aside. It's a
Yeah.
second thought, right? It's a luxury. So I want to get your thoughts on that. Is PR a luxury for small business owners?
I will often ask clients, right, why you want to invest in PR? Okay. Do you want to invest in PR while you are doing well? Or do you only want to look at PR when something has really gone wrong or is already wrong? So a lot of small business do think that PR is something that can postpone until they are bigger or until they are more stable. But then again, they may have already missed those opportunities to build that trust, that credibility, and that visibility at an early stage. So, on the other hand, large organizations sometimes assume that they already have an agency on retainer. Everything's in place. It means that their comm strategy is kind of effective already, is automatically effective. But PR should never really be at a standstill. It should not be about checking that box out. So the real role of PR is really to help business shape perception before perception has the opportunity to shape them. So that's really one thing that I want to ask small and big businesses when they meet me.
Well, I really like that. How does it shape the business or how does it shape them? This is very interesting. So then I'd be asking you, what's the difference between, a $3,000 contract and a $50,000 service? Is it few and far between?
Businesses need to understand that the pricing, right, is not just about press releases or whether is it about how many interviews you do and the kind of coverage that you have in terms of volume. But it is really about the level of thinking and the access to the experienced practitioners, responsiveness, and also risk management that's sitting behind all the work. So, for example, a 3-month retainer may sound like it's at the lower end, but what you're typically buying is maybe just execution support. So things like basic things like press release drafting, pitching 1 or 2 stories, and campaign coordination, and some day-to-day work. And for some of these small businesses, it could be sufficient at this stage. But if you look
Mm.
at a mid-tier range, right, businesses are generally paying more for a stronger mix of execution and strategy. So that's where more senior people do become involved in the day-to-day work, and there's more structured. There's more structured planning. There's more like stronger media relations, for example, and help you better align between comms and your business objectives. Then, of course,
Understood.
there are big companies that pay for your at a higher tier, for example, range of services. So that's where maybe regional work coordination comes in, and that's where government relations come in, and of course, then crisis management. So I think the truth is that the bigger budgets do not actually mean that you have better PR people working on it, right? But at the end of the day, it is really the right investment you are putting in that matches the complexity of what your business requires. So whether it's your reputation risk, whether it's your growth ambitions, or it could just be something else.
In this age of AI,
Mm.
everybody's like, oh, okay, I could probably draft all of this using AI. I could GPT it, I could Claude it. So where do comms teams now lie in this AI era?
I It's such a hot topic and trendy topic right now, right? So I do think that AI has become quite a red zone or a dangerous zone in PR where businesses start to mistake it for speed, mistaking the speed for strategy and the language that it produces. So because at the end of the day, the speed of strategy and the polished language, right, does not mean it's credible. Now, why do I say so? It's not that AI writes badly, okay? In fact, it actually writes very well. But sometimes it writes so well that many times it starts sounding the same. So the overly polished manner, the overly safe, and that, but it becomes emotionally disconnected from the real people. So in comms, once audience feel that you are very generic or you are not authentic anymore, especially in today's context, the trust drops very quickly. So I do see businesses, or rather clients sometimes come to us, become overconfident that, oh, we have AI now, we can do this a lot faster, we can do this in record time. Then they assuming that it does look and read professionally, but it doesn't mean that it's accurate. And it doesn't mean that it's strategically sound or appropriate for the situation that you're in. So a message that works perfectly in one situation, right, can be completely different for something else in another scenario. So we have to take into consideration public and stakeholder sensitivity, culture, and sentiments. So these are things that AI still cannot get in touch with. And that's where the human elements comes in. So if you ask me what are some of the do's and don'ts, right? I would say that, you can use AI. Use it because you it can help you with research. It can help you to organize your thinking. It can help you to improve efficiency in many ways. But at the same time, don't let it replace what's authentic in you. Don't publish things that hasn't been fact checked by a human being, right? Don't do things that will take away the trust and authenticity that you have built or you are going to build with your audience. So I think that is because the line businesses should never cross. I think we should bear in mind, sorry, we should bear in mind that line businesses should never cross to allow AI to communicate on your behalf without the human accountability behind it.
I totally agree with that because at the
Yeah,
end of the day, we have to be the decision makers and not the one being controlled by the machines in
correct.
that sense, right? I
Because
mean,
we
if
have
not,
the responsibility too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And besides, it's our brand, it's our business, right? We're not supposed to let the machine run it. I mean, autonomy is to how would I phrase this? To run a business autonomously is different from giving the business autonomy or the machine autonomy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a bit chim.
I'm pretty certain that you've seen it all in that sense. And we've ascertained that okay, in today's age, AI is making things more competitive, but you can't get rid of the human or the PR professional at this state right now. But I like to dial this back a little bit and just thinking about what PR meant, 30 years ago and what it means now. How has that evolved? And again, as landscapes and as needs have changed, what are those things that kind of popped up and went, wow, we're reeling in a different era now?
Wow. See, well, when I started APRW with Palin in 2026, we bought two things. Okay, three. Two laptops and a fax machine. Okay. If I ask anyone of the younger generation today what a fax machine is, they probably have no idea. But that's what helped us to get the business going then. So at that point, PR was very, very centered around traditional media relationships. It's very centered around press releases and waiting for tomorrow's news to be out, to be published, and see what was the outcome of your event coverage was. And but if I start an agency today, okay, I could probably just use my smartphone because that's everything is so much faster now. Communication, publishing, reaction, and even crisis, you get it firsthand on your phone, right? So a decade ago, businesses still have the luxury of time to respond. But today, one video, one comment, one photo that's posted on social media, it escalates into a reputational issue within like a short frame of time, within minutes, within hours. So time no longer is a luxury in comms today. And this fundamentally changes the role of us PR practitioners, right? So today, PR is not just about the media relations. It's about reputation management. It's about managing your stakeholders, managing your public sentiments and perception. And so crisis preparedness and social narrative monitoring, internal comms all become increasingly how business navigate the uncertainty during these times. So what has become more affordable, right, and faster when it comes to content production and distribution, AI and digital platform have already demonstrated that. So I don't need to deep dive into it. But what has become more valuable is really judgment, right? Knowing what to say, when to say it, what not to react to, and how to protect trust when everything is moving at this speed that you cannot sometimes feel like you cannot catch up on. So for businesses with little or no reputation, right, built yet, today that speed is going to be very dangerous for you. So if you don't actively shape your narrative, shape your reputation, the market or even the internet is going to do it for you. And then by then you have no control over it. So that's what's scary.
That is interesting. At the pace that we're running, it comes to a point whereby we are forced to make a decision quickly, which it sounds very counterintuitive, right?
It is, but it's not a choice. That's why preparedness is so important these days. That's why shaping that trust and shaping that narrative, right, is has become increasingly important for organization.
Mm. Okay, okay. And from your experience now, I'm just kind of going into the era of the PR professional. Again, you started off late 90s, early 2000s, we're still running PR in a specific way versus what you're seeing today. What do you think are the skill sets that both eras kind of bring to the table that make it, well, I would say I love to do a strengths and weaknesses comparison. What do you think are the things we could learn from each other, from your experience?
From then and now,
Yeah.
I think what we can learn is really building that relationship and the trust between us and the media, between us and stakeholders, between us and the audience. The technology today allow us to do it quite quickly and maybe more efficiently because we can We can socialize. We can socialize ongoingly. Whereas in the past, we could only, have a cup of coffee and at a certain time, certain date, but now we don't need to do that. So I think by building that, continuing to build that trust and that reputation with the different stakeholders, with the media, with public, has become a learning point, a good learning point, and an ongoing thing for all of us.
Interesting. Yeah, I know what you mean because again, the way that we scale things and also I think measure it is very different. I mean, a video came across my feed the other day, right? And
Yeah.
it was about Michael Jackson. You know, for those who still remember who Michael Jackson was,
Oh,
in 1993, the Super Bowl performance, right? The halftime show, he drew an estimated 133.4 million viewers in the US. Now, 133.4 million viewers on TV. This was pre internet,
mm,
right?
93.
To get those numbers at those days is absolutely insane. That level of stardom and the influence
Yeah.
you could get at that time was different. And now 133.4 million is based purely because you have a social following. I mean, it's amazing to see how that has changed, but I'm just wondering whether the value of that has also diminished. What are your thoughts on that?
It's very different though, because at today's, I mean, if you compare 1993 and now, which is 2026, the media landscape has shifted so much. The use of media has shifted so much. People then, us then, could only rely on TV, radio, and the minimum internet usage that we have. Do we have internet then? I can't even remember, but we do, I think. So it was very limited in terms of reach, in terms of what can go out at real time. But today is different. Today, social media has played such an important role, and to cause breaking news, and all these are even before the media can actually get there. Citizen, what do we call that? Citizen journalism has become so apparent these days that we believe everything that we see immediately. So I think if you ask me in terms of the reach and how fast it all goes, I think we can't compare it anymore. It is because society and habits have all changed dramatically.
Yeah, I think comm strategies have changed dramatically as well because of that. I mean, social media and the internet have become such a massive multiplier. I would say that business owners of old would not be able to understand how that has changed. I mean, if they're still relying on traditional media, they'd pretty much be stuck. But I mean, they're established. So, okay, great, good on them, right?
Yeah.
But for the new business owners who are, let's just say, for example, 3, 4 years into their business, they're trying to scale, they're trying to find the right partners. They're not they The understanding of media relation is very different. It's not like last time, you have to go to certain events, rub shoulders with reporters, you have to do this and that, right? Go to parties, and networking really meant networking. You really had to find the right people with the right tags,
Right.
right? So that they would come to your launch parties, they would come to your launch events, whatever it is. You had to have a certain influence. But now, on the other hand, emails are just flying out and say, hey, we're having this. And now they get to choose.
Yeah.
So, if you could give some advice to a business owner to perhaps how to get a little bit more traction to media, what would it be?
At the end of the day, right, we have to be sincere. I think I'll always tell client that, being sincere about wanting to know how the media platform works, how as a journalist you work. For new businesses, right, to continue or to start a relationship with a media outlet, a journalist is actually still very important. That human touch, that one-on-one interaction, right, still plays a very important role when it comes to PR. I mean, I'm not saying that you become best friends, but in time of need, you will have them listen to you, give you the opportunity to tell you your side of the story. And that's crucial.
That's good to know. And I think it's also a good time to plug that it's important to have a PR professional or a comms team to assist with that because you won't have the time to keep writing to media per se.
Yes. And I think it's it's important to remember that having that comms person at your board meetings, at your meeting table is important. They should not be the last people you go to when there's trouble. They should not be the last people you go to when things already happen. They should already, your PR people should be at your meeting table, knowing exactly what is going on and to prevent things from happening.
I think one of the interesting things at the boardroom level, I would say, or even at the C level, be it small company or big company, is how does a PR lead or PR head sit down at the table and say that this brings business value to you and actually translate that to numbers? You know, it's kind of like how I think you've heard this before. Last time a CFO was always told you look at the numbers, but now a CFO is also meant to look at investing. It's about growth. It's not about accountancy. So I mean, as a PR professional, how would you position, a PR lead or a comms lead to be able to do that?
I think what's important is the people at the table must understand growth is not just about numbers. Growth, when it comes to an organization, is reputation. Growth, when it comes to an organization, it's about trust. So these are two things that money cannot buy you. So as a PR professional, I mean, we come in, we sit down, we listen to you, we're able to give you that narrative, we're able to direct you in the direction and probably see things at a different perspective that others at the table are not able to see. Especially when it comes to cultural, especially when it comes to public sentiments and stakeholders' sentiments also. I think in today's context where the internet is blasting about authenticity, about trust, right? It is something that you should never undermine and should never put it as second or third part of your organization growth at all.
So that's the thing. We have to look at PR as truly an investment. And you've been drumming on that the whole time. It's an investment. It is not a cost center. It is not a crisis management area.
It is not, I mean, having been in the business for so long, it is very sad today you still hear that, oh, we have to cut budget and PR has to be the first to go, right? Or when you walk into a room to meet a new client and they want to see immediate results when it comes to PR. It doesn't happen that way. 20 years in the business, and I am still trying to defend or to educate clients that PR is a journey. It is a journey that I'm walking with you. I'm coming in as your partner, as part of your team, and not as a vendor. Because what I'm going out there to say will truly affect what is happening in your organization.
I think circling back to, how technology has changed so much in the PR space, are there things that maybe our business leaders should know about PR right now and technology that perhaps they haven't taken notice of, that we should take notice of? Upcoming, like new trends, innovations, and perhaps maybe shining a light on false, like AI driven writing. How do we even tell? Are there key telltale signs like keystrokes and things like that that is definitely like AI slop?
End of the day, because media trends happen so quickly, it is hard to really predict what can happen next. Even for AI, it can help generate things so fast and it can help you so quickly put things together. You can even teach it to help you deep dive into data that you have already collected. So I think all these things, it's really to be careful, to really look at authenticity and trust. Again, I stress on that, and to be, never let it take over the human judgment. So I think moving forward, this is something that I think organizations should always be on high alert on and not allow AI to subconsciously take over your brand building and your narrative.
And let's say for business owners out there who are saying, Julie, I'd like to have a PR person for myself or a PR team for myself. Maybe it's a small one. Is there a try before you buy policy? Or, if I wanted to hire my own in house, what would be those differences?
I think for PR, I mentioned it right from the very beginning that it is a journey. It's not something that you pay and then you see results immediately. It is a journey. It's a progress. So if an agency does come on board, or even you hire an in-house practitioner, I think you need to give it time to build it. And not only that, you must be aligned with your PR consultant in terms of business objectives, business narrative, business growth, and sentiments to help grow the PR narrative ongoing.
And what do you think are the top traits that they should look out for their first hire? For a PR professional, I mean.
I think for the first hire, you need someone who is ready to embark on the journey with you, who is willing to go all out and walk this journey, because it is not going to be a 1 month, 2 months, or a 3 month affair. That's what. Two, someone who is resilient, someone who's not afraid that trend is changing, AI is going to take over the world, or how fast things are moving. I think this person needs to have that resilience in him or her to journey it out with the client. And I think three, most importantly, you need someone who has an open mind, someone who is willing to listen, someone who is willing to give it a go, and someone who's willing to try all over again if it doesn't work.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the advice. Now, before we end the podcast, I have a very quick questionnaire rapid fire for you. So I hope you're ready for this.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay, here we go with the epic questionnaire with Julie Chiang. Here we go. Question number one word that you love,
Rest,
one word that you strongly dislike,
chill. I hate it when people ask me to chill.
what sparks joy in the work that you do,
Result.
what is your routine like for peak performance daily?
Again, I come back to rest. I believe that if you're afraid to rest, you will never be at optimal position or the right mind to get that frame, to get in the right frame of mind. Don't be afraid to take time out for yourself, and don't be afraid to recharge, because allows you to realign and to refocus.
What do you do when negativity or sadness hits you?
I think a shower washes everything bad away, and then you come out refreshed and able to refocus and realign again.
If you could have a conversation with one person, fictional, non-fictional, dead or alive, who would that be?
Oh, that's a tough one. Nancy Drew. You know the character Nancy Drew?
Yes.
So Nancy Drew was one of
Why?
my favorite characters when I was growing up. I read all the books about her. And I always feel that, she's always so ready to go and find out what is wrong and what is not right. So I've always admired that resilience in her at a young age.
Interesting. What's a phrase or quote that has left the biggest impact on you?
Just do it. There's so many things happening every day. I don't have time, sometimes the luxury to think, stop and think. So let's just do it.
What's a harsh lesson that life has taught you?
I've never thought of things being harsh. I've always tried to take things in my own stride and and try to find positivity in it. I don't let it take over my life because there's no time to do so.
Wonderful. Okay, so what happens to your business or work after you have moved on to a different plane?
I do hope that at the end of the legacy of the agency continues. But at the same time, I do know that the world is also shifting. The demands of how the business is also shifts. So I guess I'll let whoever's still around write it out and lead his course.
Last question. How do you want to be remembered? What's your legacy?
Oh, I want to be remembered for who I am, not the work I do. Me as a person, me as a mentor to someone, me as the boss to someone, me to a friend to someone. So that's how I want to be remembered.
All right, so that was the epic questionnaire. Thank you so much for that, Julie. Now, it's your time now. Feel free to just let everybody know how they can connect with you, how you'd like them to find out a little bit more about AP.RW and also what's going on in your life right now.
I'm Julie Chiang from APRW. You can find me on LinkedIn or you can reach out to me via my company website, or you can email direct me to me at julie@aprw.asia.
All right, thank you so much. And that was Julie Chiang joining the Epic Podcast again on this season titled How to Build a Better Business. We're all talking about all sorts of things PR. So thank you so much for listening or watching this. Please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. And thank you so much for being on the podcast, Julie. And to everybody out there, we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.